Hey folks, we're at the Inveremere Community Greenhouse. Actually, just stop it for a sec. Hey folks, we're at the Inveremere Community Greenhouse right now, and we planted this food forest and swale about 3 months ago, specifically with cover crops and also the overstory of the food forest. Garden's still in construction. We haven't finished a lot of the components yet, but I wanted to just show you how the cover crop was coming along. We seeded at about 10 times the recommended rate, which is referred to as a kill crop. And we did that in order to try and minimize the amount of weeds coming in and also to help really build the carbon in the soil. So the cover crops we chose were buckwheat, annual rye, and field pea. And you can see right here we've got that annual rye is coming up really nicely, and the buckwheat has come up as well. It's all going to seed, and we're getting to the plants just before it actually produces the seed, which is really, really important because we want the nutrients to stay in the root. See if I can pull a bit of it up here. You can really see how this plant is really getting its roots in deep. Annual rye can go down as much as 6 feet, and these are really just fast carbon pathways, so they take massive amounts of CO2 out of the air and build carbon in the soil. And even though the soil is definitely not remediated, you can kind of get a glimpse of what it was like. In fact, if you just look down here, we're basically starting with a moonscape. So we're going to chop and drop this swale today, and we'll do a little video at the end. I just want to show you the other system that we've got down here where there's more field pea, and I'll show you how much nitrogen we're actually fixing. So amongst this system here, we've got some squash planted, which is going to basically become the overstory after we chop and drop this thing. So we're literally just going to come in here. We don't have any rice knives, so we're just going to use steak knives. It's really important to have a serrated edge. It just makes the chop and drop process that much easier. And we're just going to cut this stuff off, and we're going to mulch around these squash plants. But before we get into that, I just want to show you one of the most important things that you can do when you plant a cover crop is to make sure that you inoculate the peas. And if you are successful, what you're going to get are these little nitrogen nodules right here. And I haven't done a calculation, but I bet you that we've got about 50 to 100 pounds of nitrogen in this garden just by planting these field peas. When we chop the tops of these peas down, these little colonies of bacteria, also referred to as rhizobium, are going to stay in the ground and they're going to decompose, and we're going to end up putting an enormous amount of fertility into the sheet mulch that we put in here when we planted everything. So this sheet mulch is highly carbaceous because we put a lot of wood mulch into it, and so now we're actually going to drop the nitrogen in there, which is going to further the composting process to build this topsoil, which, like I said, started out as basically a moonscape. So we'll check back a little bit later today after we've done the chop and drop. Just take a quick peek around what we've got here. There's no weeds, tons and tons of biomass, and we've got these little squashes poking up, so we're going to give them a bit more light, favor them out, and really support all the overstory species that we have here. Cherries, sea buckthorn, we've got some apricots down there, some cherries, and various different overstory shrubs all around the garden, which are really going to shoot up after we do this chop and drop.